Great to be here.
Well, many Republicans, some Democrats say that they will vote to raise the debt ceiling, but it has to come with spending cuts. What is your position?
Well, I do think we need to show spending restraint and we need to have reforms in place before we raise the debt ceiling above $14 trillion. We've got to show the world, really, our debtors, our creditors, that we are serious and we are going to get our fiscal house in order. That's the best message that we could send.
Where do we start to cut those, Senator? I mean, because everyone's going to be targeting different programs. As you know, they might be looking at some military programs, even with the death of Osama bin Laden. So what is a sacred cow in your opinion, and where should we look to first to cut?
Well, I think, of course, we should go back to an overall level of 2008. I think you look across the board and then you determine what your priorities are. We're not going to take anything from the military when they are in war, and they're in war, and we're going to fund them fully. We're going to fund our veterans. We're going to fund research, which is our seed corn, making sure that we keep our economy strong. But there's a lot of fat. Our government has grown in bureaucracy. There is foreign military construction that we don't need to make right now. These are priorities that we could really push down the road when our fiscal house is in order, and we have set a top-line spending level that allows us to bring down this debt and deficit.
All right, let me move to the next issue of Osama bin Laden. When did you first know about the operations with regards to Osama bin Laden? Did you know before his killing was announced?
I didn't. I knew Sunday night, and I was just so pleased as everything has started coming out with the precision. And I just met with Admiral McRaven, who is really credited with leading this effort in such a precise way that every eventuality was brought together for a perfect mission.
All right, I want to move on to energy policy. My colleague, Greg Jarrett, you know him very well from Fox News, has a question for you, Senator.
Well, on energy policy, where are we in the near term with so many Americans pulling up at the pumps and they just can't afford to pay for it? Who's to blame? What can we do? What can Congress do and the president?
We need to open up our natural resources. We're the only country in the world that has the resources to make a bigger supply and bring down the cost of energy and gasoline at the pump, and we're not doing it. We are sitting almost idle in the Gulf of Mexico, which is our second largest resource next to ANWR in Alaska. And we ought to be opening up ANWR, we ought to be opening up the Gulf of Mexico, and we ought to be assuring that we do it in an environmentally sound way, which we can do with the new technology that we have. And we need to be supplying our country with the energy needs at a reasonable price that we have the capability to do.
Senator, since you're saying that, you know, we just did a Fox News poll, and 61% of those polls say that they do support more drilling, that we need to drill more here at home. We're also seeing Americans telling us they're cutting back because of high gasoline prices, besides opening up more drilling in the Gulf of Mexico, as you mentioned. Is there anything else that we can do with regards to energy policy, in particular our relationship in the Middle East?
Well, I think we should look to ourselves. I don't think we should be so dependent on foreign sources of oil. And one of the reasons that there is so much drilling overseas is because it's been made so hard with the regulatory environment that we have in this country to make the investments that the oil companies and the independent operators need to make. It's very expensive to explore and drill, and to take that chance, you have to have the leases, and you have to have cooperation and a stable regulatory environment, which we don't have in this country.
Well, the Obama administration has cut back on oil leases by more than 50%, almost 60%. Is there something Congress can do to reverse that?
Well, we're trying. We don't have control of both houses of Congress, but we are trying to lift this lease moratorium that we have in the Gulf of Mexico. We have had 3 or 4 or 5 leases since the oil spill, and usually we have 10 per month. This is a huge waste of time and energy and resources. We need to open it up. Republicans are certainly trying to, and there are some Democrats who agree with us, and we're trying to put together a coalition that would have a sound energy policy. We're talking about taxing the oil companies and making them move more of our jobs overseas. Is that really the message we want to send? I hope not.
Senator Hutchison, I want to get your take on one more topic before I let you go. And Elizabeth Warren, it is believed still at this point that he is going to nominate, the president's going to nominate Elizabeth Warren to run the Consumer Protection Agency. That opens up in July, as you know. But the Senate has to approve her. What are your feelings if Elizabeth Warren is nominated? Would you give her a yes vote?
I would want to look very carefully at that. I don't want to make a commitment right now, but I'm very concerned about the consumer agency at all. I think that we need to go back and relook at that finance reform bill that created this new federal agency that is going to be doing things that are already being done. It's redundant, it's repetitive, it's expensive, and really there is no governor over this independent person. It's in the Federal Reserve, but they don't have control. I think that's a very unsound policy, so I'd be for repealing the whole bill and starting all over rather than a new, overreaching, duplicatory federal agency that we do not need right now.
All right. Well, Senator Kay Bailey Hutchison from Texas, it's always great to talk to you, Senator. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, does the government, folks, have the right to tell companies in which state they should locate? A union battle shaping up in Washington. We're going to